more. So
the rounds are shorter too.
Sure,
so.
yeah, I mean, that's true. But I mean, when you look at weeks, there's a lot of weeks left.
Yeah.
Comparatively.
That's also true.
As we jump into this draft, let's try to zoom in a little bit. Maybe not zoom out as much as the standings and zoom in on the games at hand here. We'll see Orianna taken away. Talia, I mentioned for Bulldog being one of his better picks, also gone. Pantheon, maybe Wukong. You know, you and I were kind of going, maybe Wukong on the red side a lot, and it just didn't happen. And Wukong won both games yesterday to increase his win rate.
Yeah, I mean, Wukong's right now 14-5. He feels like the best B1 pick because it goes with anything. It's great at peeling, it's great at diving. It can get picks, right? It's just really strong. It's good into other meta junglers, right?
And I think Sponge will play it. You know, I have to guess. Gwen and Rumble are still up.
Vi is also up. So if they wanted to, but I just...
See?
We're all on the same page.
Everybody's knowers, you know? Like, take the Vi out of the ban list. Maybe don't put Varus in there and put the Wukong instead. But either way, that's going to be the Annie pick here for Bulldog. So a pick that's relatively safe, blindable, and hard to punish. Or just pick Yunara into Wukong. A very confident choice.
With Rumble available.
Yeah, very confident choice to say the least, Valdez. It did not work yesterday. We were a little bit worried about what could happen. And I'm going to say I will continue to feel that way right now. Now they could even just go into a more dive-oriented composition. They could play Ahri even in this comp. I feel like even though that's fallen out of the meta completely.
That's why Wukong is so good as a B1. You can just be like, strong. Okay, they have Yunara, now we can just go dive. They're going to pick Gwen. So no Rumble here. We've definitely liked the Wukong Rumble combination alongside of mid laners that can also dive. Also thinking about an Aurora.
I think Aurora is incredibly powerful into Yunara as well. The zone control she provides makes it really difficult for Yunara to enter the fight safely, or she might just be out of the fight for too long and then unfortunately unable to make an impact before the front line is down. I actually prefer Vi to the Lee Sin here because it works really well with the Annie. And if you can get a pick initially or try to keep that Wukong locked down and then the Yunara gets that first kill, then things get a lot easier. And it looks like Pioshik will ultimately agree and lock that in. It's not an easy matchup into the Wukong, but they have a lot of tools to help set this up.
Yeah, I mean, Vi, I feel like, is good, as is Annie for this team because it's very obvious. If somebody presses R, you got to go in. Now, what I'm worried about is that Pioshik presses R, and then everybody's like, that's not a good idea, and then they just leave him to die, which is not good, but relatively simple and relatively easy to play right now on this side outside of the Yunara. But.
Yeah, if Pioshik pressed Q on Lee Sin and went in, he could press W at least and back out if his team wasn't trusting. Let's see a ban on the Rakan, which does make sense. We did not see that yesterday, which left us scratching our heads.
DNF get it.
They get it.
You know?
The drafting outside of that Yunara pick into Wukong, looking like a step up from some of the drafts you saw yesterday. We'll see what that final ban is going to be, as a safe AD carry like Ezreal might actually fit the bill, even though Ezreal doesn't necessarily follow up to dive as well as Kai'Sa, or even Xayah, which is also available. And maybe that's just going to be where Teddy goes. He's obviously an iconic Xayah player. It's the same pick that Viper played into the Yunara yesterday as well. And here, you took away the Alistar. You could just ban any strong laning champ. Like, you could even ban Lulu here. I think Lulu works with the Vi really well, works well for laning. They're going to take away another engaged champ, though, in the Mbessa. And Mbessa is relatively playable into Gwen as well, as we've seen.
Yeah, kind of curious that they don't pick the Rumble for the ban. I feel like Rumble is a lot more common into Gwen than the Mbessa. So, yeah, seems to make sense that they just snatch it up there. By the way, also a great choice to pick up the Aurora for the team just to make sure that the Gwen doesn't get countered.
Yeah, that's a really smart point as well. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. One of the great counter picks in top for that. I think we always knew this was going to be Xayah. The Rakan was taken away. Jhin works as well, but I prefer the Xayah here just for consistent damage output, especially when you're dealing with a Yunara. Like, if you end up losing your front line and you're trying to go toe-to-toe Jhin versus Yunara, you will never, ever, ever be able to outplay that as the Jhin. And the Nautilus comes through for some extra engage. Are they bold enough to go Lulu here? Quantum does love an Enchanter support. You know, he is a bit of an Enchanter support guy.
Rel thinking to be the choice. Definitely offers a lot of AoE engage. It's fantastic alongside of the Rumble. Provides more frontline for the Yunara.
I look at these two drafts, and it feels very plain to see that Dudu has to carry this game. Like, his equalizers have to deny entry to team fights. They have to slow down the approach of this Gwen Wukong, because if you can use the equalizer to keep those melee champions away from your Yunara and then weaken those health bars to where Berserker can press R and start to clean up the fight, then the Rel re-engage comes through, I think it works out. I think the Vi Rumble is not going to be a combo you're looking to use onto the Xayah in most cases in this game. I think it's going to be more for mid-game pressure. In team fights, you can kind of re-engage with it. It's going to be flexible, but you don't want to be going into that meat grinder that is on the other side with the Xayah that can just press R and get away from you. So the Vi lost a little bit of value, I think, as the draft was completed, but the Rumble is still really strong here. Dudu's performance on it needs to be huge. We did see that yesterday, where the Rumble was able to zone and deny that one big Yunara fight.
So DNF stands for Do Not Fear. We just figured it out.
I guess so. I thought it was for DN Automotive Freecs, but...
No, it's Do Not Fear, and guess what?
They be fearless!
Freecs be fearless as well! They just... You got...
And it said, let's have a fun game.
Freecs be fearless. We got Fearless Draft.
I guess we'll see Nocturne in game 2. Maybe Fiddlesticks.
I don't know what to say, Wolf. All right, we got DRX up against the DN Freecs. Let's see what happens in game 1. Here we go, game number 1.
We are on
DN fans.
Yeah, we are on the DN Freak side, and I can tell you that that cheer sounded louder than your average T1 cheer. That was a very hopeful crowd, to say the least.
Desperate, perhaps.
Perhaps both.
Yeah. And the cheer is, of course, DN fighting. Just
that also
shouting
works out
sponsor.
for DNF as well.
Yeah? Whoa.
Do not freak out. Also could work.
That's a good one.
Do not fumble. Yeah. Do not frazzled.
Do not frazzled.
There you go.
That's the best one, I think. Yeah. I think you did it. I think you got the best one.
Do not feed.
Well,
look, they usually don't do that.
A little bit late.
They
for
usually
that, Wolf.
don't do the feeding in the lane. The laning phase is fine.
That's true. That's true.
You know, it's just some of the later team fights where it's not really a feed. It's just an error of judgment.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's more of a team issue, more than anything else. But they've still attempted to make some roster swaps. What did you think of Doive when he came?
I thought Doive had a pretty decent performance, but obviously he'll never have the same sort of knowledge that Pyosik has. And I think given Doive's early, he's early in his career, like he just doesn't have accolades yet. He's not a world champion. It's hard to think that his voice is going to actually be the one that wins out and actually helps this team come together. Level 2 is hit here first for Berserker and Quantum. It's a matchup like this where you're not outranged. Yunara does quite well. You can just threaten Qs. She stacks those up. If you hit those Ws, the arc, as it's called, you get the slow, you can actually harass, but he didn't hit that one.
Yeah. Kind of unfortunate. I mean, it's still the Yunara just kind of wins every lane situation, especially when Varus is banned. It's like, well, just kind of sit here and get level 2 every single time. We've seen that, every duo that goes into Yunara, like everybody knows already, they just play super passively. Like they take trades on the first wave, and then after that, they're like, okay, this is over. Let's just get pushed in.
You can think of her Q almost like Jinx getting excited, and she could just kind of press it once she has it stacked up. So you'll never win an auto attack trade against almost any champion, unless you're playing, something that has a, like a Lulu, with you, and you can just kind of shield, and like there's some fancy stuff you can do there. You polymorph. But if you play a Varus or an Ezreal, you just don't interact with auto attacks and you try to weave your poke in. That's like the ways you could beat her in lane, but otherwise, in a matchup like this with a Nautilus, it's a little bit tougher. Another arc will miss, but a hook will miss in return.
Yeah. Actually a nice look. I mean, if he hits that, there's feathers on the ground. Teddy can easily auto a couple more times. Nice burst. Although the engage here from Quanto, even nicer. As I called him Quanto, maybe a cooler name. It's going to be a very cool play here to the new supports joining us at DNF.
Here, I think Teddy is just going to have to get out of here. Committing to diving a Nautilus, though, I think is not a good idea.
Yeah, there's no wave really left over, so Quantum is going to just back away.
Yeah, even going to see a TP to
that
come
is
down
Gwen.
here. It's just going to be a swap, and they're going to leave. As Teddy is already heading to the top lane without his support for just a moment here. Dudu will actually match the swap. Could have decided to stay a little bit longer there, but decides just doesn't want to fall behind in tempo. It's a pretty huge lead in terms of farm, as Teddy, who does not have teleport, is not going to be able to catch that wave that Dudu pushes in. The timing of this for Rich, a little bit inconvenient, you could say. Ando's actually going to set a trap here. This could work out incredibly well if they don't read it. And, I mean, Dudu just has no idea.
Hide on bush.
Here.
Sponge is here as well. Dudu has to flash. That's not the flash you were looking for, and now he is absolutely dead as the exhaust comes through. Got a little bit close there, but still, first blood is given over to Rich as he takes him down. Nice play there from the side of DRX.
That's a great way to turn around the fact that you're stuck in the bottom lane as a Nautilus. You're desynced with your AD carry. Look for a play like that. He flashes to get the root, expecting there's just no way Dudu can react in time. He's not going to be able to get the flash away to deny the auto from going off. He gets rooted. Then you have the guaranteed dredge line. And with Sponge there, it's an easy cleanup. Nicely done by Rich. Having the exhaust as well just gives him just enough slow to get that kill. And this puts DRX on the board early.
Yeah, it's going to feel very good for them to get first blood to Rich's Gwen, something he's been very confident in. Issue right now is that Teddy is having his lane pushed away from him, and he didn't get his support until now. So still about 10 CS behind, and the Yunara is going to get even further ahead because the wave was larger against her. So definitely doesn't feel good for Teddy at the moment, especially after that early trade. Speaking of trading, Ando goes in. Ando goes out.
It's very tricky, but if you play it like Berserker did there, you can use your arc slow as a peel as well to get away, as an escape, so to speak, I should really say. But tough to hit is Bulldog's just going to look for a tempo ult.
Yeah. Speaking of tempo ult, get it back.
This kind of backfires a little bit.
This was on Vision. Piozic cleared a ward. We saw him doing that, and then he just started it up. Meanwhile, level 6 hit for Rich. Bunch of needles coming out towards Dudu, and he nearly just dies. Has to back away only because Piozic is here, but that's just a leash on the dragon. So DRX say, we're winning the bottom lane. We're getting the dragon. The mid lane, you know, it was basically a trade. It's not a big deal that Yehu is low because he's getting everything else.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, without Prio, it's hard for Bulldog to just hold his ultimate and try to come over and help out the Drake, and then try to deny Yehu from getting over there. So he kind of ends up trading awkwardly, and then Yehu gets the advantage. He can't join the fight. He has Tibbers, but without being able to actually get to the dragon itself. With the control, they did not have bottom side, with Rich having the lead in the lane with a really nice ult. Dragon is going to go over. Not a bad, like, I don't think the decision-making there for DNF was wrong per se, but just did not work out the way they wanted.
See that Andal keeps going in onto the Rel, and there is a big wave right here. Also, the Yunara is feeling very strong at the moment in this lane. Doesn't feel like Xayah does a whole lot into the Yunara at this point in the game.
Yeah, it's really tough, just especially with the lead that she already has, and she bought a Cull, so she is really going to kind of explode into the mid game.
She's had that for a while, actually.
Yeah, 67 stacks, so early back, grabbing it.
That was a cannon. That Bulldog trying to hold on to his stun, the classic Annie maneuver where you're like, I want to keep my stun, so I don't want to use my Q, and then you just try to auto the cannon and miss, and it's like,
it's
what's
things
going
like
on?
that make me not play Annie, because Annie is one of those easy champions, right? You think you're like, oh, it's easy, you just stun, you press R, like you win the game. And then you try laning against a really strong laning opponent, you know, bully like Aurora, and you're like, ooh, I lost a little bit of control, and now I just can't hit the minions. It's really annoying. Oh, I lost my stun. Oh, she all in me. But I got the cannon, and now I have to TP back to lane.
Yeah. Can be very annoying. Bulldog hoping that it goes better for him here on the Annie than us in solo queue.
I mean, he's not really that behind.
Yeah, no, he's fine. But he did miss the cannon, so he's behind mentally.
He didn't hit the cannon and then end up getting all in by Yehu and lose control of the lane. So I think he's like calling worth on that one. Would have liked to get the cannon, but...
Sponge just doing 3 grubs on Vision.
Yeah, Quantum is caught as well. There's nobody here.
Yeah. Quantum's like, shouldn't we do something about this, guys? Everybody's like, no. I mean, it's just grubs. It's not the end of the world, although this very strong Gwen and even the Aurora, I feel like, can use it pretty well, but
yeah, it's not like
how it goes.
The end of the world, but it is the end of turrets if they have a mid-game deficit.
Yeah.
And
it's a problem.
Yeah, it's not the situation you're often looking for, especially when the Gwen is already up a kill on the Rumble inside. Rich does not have Flash, of course, but Exhaust is going to be very helpful here in this potential defense. Doesn't have a stacked Q, is going to ult.
Yeah, Dudu already tanking the turret, and he is not going down Rich as the turret shot gets him, and Pyosik even takes one for good measure. The dive is just a 1-for-1. So we got just more trades here in mid. Looks like Bulldog's doing just fine.
Yeah, they aren't going to really lose anything for committing Pyosik down there. He's the one who gets the kill and not Dudu, though, which feels pretty frustrating. An assist worth of gold will go over to Dudu at least in this case, but see if this is a catch.
Oh boy, Yehu has this all too. Bulldog even takes a turret shot, and that's a kill going over to Sponge. Just a bit over-aggressive after a nice trade from Bulldog means that, well, it's just going to be a kill for the Wukong.
Yeah, so this is the initial play here. Rich really deciding he wants to all in on the wave, but then is able to offer damage back as Pyosik goes out of turret range. And so the aggro is still picked up there from Dudu. And then here, Bulldog has a ward in the brush on the right side of your screen, and I think that's why he feels relatively safe to be up like this. But unfortunately for him, his support is too far away to save him, and the Wukong can engage from the Raptors, so nice angle of approach there for Sponge.
Yeah, you know, there was a time where Wukong couldn't go over walls, and then they changed that. And ever since then, he's been in and out of the meta, and right now he is the most meta jungler, I would say. Our
Next
team's
to Pantheon, of course,
well,
we won't see.
That's true. I always forget about him because, well, we've only seen him once. And he won very handily. It's very good. But yeah, the most meta jungler that actually gets played. You know, Trundle's up there. I think a lot of our teams still highly value Trundle. And for a good reason, like Sponge got 5 kills on Trundle. Was it Sponge? No, it wasn't Sponge.
Was it Raptor? No, it was
Croco.
Croco.
Croco, yeah.
Croco.
Croco got it yesterday. And they didn't win, but you could see the strength of the Trundle.
It's looking a little bit Berserker colored if you're a DNF Hoper right now. If you're kind of on the hope train.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say hype train, but on the hope train.
Yeah.
Because he's the only one who has a gold lead. He is going to cash in a call. He is going for the faster spike build we talked about yesterday. I don't know if he's going to have enough setup with the deficits they have to fight early, but, you know, maybe he could have a Yunara moment, which we're not going to make a thing, but
yeah,
it could be kind of a thing in this particular case, as they are going to try to cover and contest this dragon, but I just don't see the angle here.
It's too late. It is going to be a Chemtech Soul, by the way. Ondel trying to engage, but they just disengage because Yunara does Yunara things, and the Rel just kind of hops away as well. So, yeah, they just kind of gave that Drake away. It is double dragon given over to DRX.
Right.
And, I mean, it's going to feel very good, those first couple of dragons. Ocean and Mountain for just a little bit of extra tankiness against, you know, an all-in from the Vi, the Rel, the Rumble.
We're memeing yesterday when we coined this term double dragon, but it is actually extremely relevant because often at that moment you find out what the soul is, and then the value of double dragon can be doubly assessed. It's like, okay, you got the stats from those two, but also are you that much closer to soul point threaten? And DNF kind of high rolling on losing double dragon here in that it's a Chemtech soul. It's pretty good for Gwen Wukong, yeah, to be honest, but like it could be Infernal, right? It could be Hextech. Although, you know, it's not actually the greatest Hextech comp for DRX. Hard to have a bad Hextech one, but, you know, hard to proc that, I suppose, with this composition. But, you know, there's no poke, really. I just, I think for DNF, it's about where can you pick your battles. Kraken Slayer is done for Berserker. Where can you find the way to catch somebody, right? jump out of a brush as Bulldog, if you don't have pride, if you don't have control over the map, you're playing passively, you're letting the Aurora push into you, you're letting the Gwen threaten turrets. That's the scary part.
See Ondil and Sponge roaming around like a death squad at the moment, just trying to find whoever they can. Looks like they cleared out that ward in the river too, so just really no vision. This is going to be spotted though. Koshik does clear that ward out. But now they know he's on the bottom side, and they can roam even deeper into the enemy jungle and actually look for a kill on a Berserker. Sponge just kind of awkwardly going to run away from this one, but now the Ghost comes out. Sponge in an awkward spot. Now he's going on to Teddy, actually, who is going to be forced to use something, as finally we see him use his abilities. The flash comes through, the root under the turret, and Berserker just barely is going to get away.
See that reaction on the player cam, both relief but also frustration that he wasn't able to secure the kill there. Is able to trade his summoners for Teddy's. I think that's a trade up for the Xayah in every case because of the safety her ultimate will provide and the lack of safety that Yunara has in team fights, especially because Sponge still holds on to that critical ultimate for the next objective fight, which will be the Herald. Berserker also now down that critical ultimate, which is basically a necessity if you're going to be team fighting with the Yunara. But he saw the Lions, right? He saw the angle. That was a really good read by him, going on to the Xayah, knowing he could actually collapse there. Has his Kraken Slayer spike. It's just unfortunately not quite enough damage. At least he was able to at least escape after Teddy's perfectly placed root there. So close to getting an even bigger advantage over his counterpart, but not able to get it.
Yeah.
Bit of a tragedy.
I mean, like you mentioned, Yunara Berserker is the guy that you have a lot of hope for. And if you are a DNF fan, I do think that with Nautilus, with Ghost as well from the Unsealed Spellbook and Flash and his ult, and Wukong in the same place, you can't really fight. They're going to fight anyway. Let's see how that goes, because I think as DRX, you could just look for Yunara and engage onto her, as now that's a very nice wombo combo from the side of DNF, but they're really not doing all that much. Finally, the Timbers does come down, but it's 2 kills to the side of DRX. The issue, though, being is that Berserker is still alive, and that is very scary for DRX, but still picking up 2 kills, not half bad.
Yeah, who has TP? They could actually look to contest the Herald itself, which was not taken in the fight. DNF, I think, are wisely going to try to push this mid turret instead. They have even Tibbers here to back that up. Berserker, unfortunately, going to take a turret shot. They decide not to commit fully to the mid turret, nor do they commit to the Herald, so they end up almost winning a fight, giving over kills. And like, remember I mentioned at the beginning of this, Dudu has to carry. He's here just in time to capitalize on this fantastic re-engage from Quantum. The equalizer really couldn't have gone better here, but they still can't secure the kills. Like Berserker, once again, so close. If he had his Ghost here, maybe there was a higher value in that fight. Like if he was able to close that gap, maybe there's a world, but now DRX regroup faster, will be able to get this Herald. And it's, just another unfortunate objective loss here. I mean, DRX have objective feats of strength. They have all the grubs. They have both dragons. Now, a 4th in the bag. If there was a 4th objective feat of strength to pick it up, they'd grab it. Because Herald belongs to them as well. And that will likely just be mid-turret at the same time as the dragon spawns. I mean, this just doesn't get worse for DNF.
Yeah, it's definitely a big issue. Rich here. Just going to Mega Cone his way over to the bottom lane. They don't need him, as what happened here. We are going to have a charge, it looks like. The Smite, though, available, so we're not going to have a crash. Start of the charge, but no finish there. Some good ward control coverage from the side of Quantum. I do have to say, regardless of how this game goes, he has had a very stellar early game.
Absolutely.
Coming in as the new guy.
Looking like a big upgrade right now. DNF still wrestle that Pry away. They defend the Herald charge, so this is an ideal scenario for them. Berserker doesn't quite have his Ghost back, but it's almost ready. He has ult at the ready too. They need to be really careful how they engage this. Dudu's equalizer placement could just be for zoning if they can get that dragon low.
All right, just doing a ton of damage to this dragon. Ondil going to go on in, just presses his ult on a Berserker. They're zoned away, but a lot used here by the side of DRX is down to Ondil. And finally, the Wukong will follow up, trying to just chip away at that front line. They already got the Annie. The burn on a Pilshik is enough. And they pulled off of the dragon at the same time, as Pilshik wasn't there for the smite. And so DRX take another big fight here and another dragon.
Just too many tools for DRX. Like, Dudu, again, has a perfect equalizer given this scenario. He's so patient with it. He waits for the engage. Like, Ondil's engage is a little bit haphazard, to be honest. He gets under Berserker, but the follow-up isn't there. Then they try to close the gap, and then the equalizer is there, but they just can't hold on to control. Like, Berserker doesn't do enough damage yet. Look at this. He goes in, doesn't hit the hooks, just
zoned
commits
away.
the R. And Berserker can't do damage at this moment. Now starts to, of course, hit a Nautilus. The equalizer comes through, but look at the value from Sponge. And, like, there's just no way to get in and do more. They just can't. Dudu's already used his ultimate. And, I mean, you're just going to go into the meat grinder of Gwen, Wukong if you try to push in further. Berserker's like, I autoed as much as I can.
Yeah.
I just don't have anything else in the tank yet. I'm sitting on an item and a half. Teddy's on 2.
I mean, they just have too many answers for the Yunara. Like you talked about it first. First pick Yunara, and then they already had Wukong, and then they picked Nautilus and Aurora. Like, it's just, this is way too many things to deal with. And Berserker, like, all Ondil had to do, even though he just essentially hooked the wall, pressed R on Yunara, and then died. Like, that's all he did, but it was still very effective. Like, that was Ondil's job. He's like, what is my job? You press R on Yunara. He's like, oh, God. Well, it's a very important one, and if you don't have DPS there, it's going to be a big issue.
And it's like...
You called it, like, Dudu's got to do a lot of heavy lifting if Yunara doesn't exist. But he can only do so much.
If he had, you know, a Zonius, or even if he had, like, an arm guard, maybe he makes a flashier play there. Maybe he, like, literally flashes in, tries to hold Q and go golden, and maybe that's enough damage for Berserker to clean up. But he just doesn't have the money for that. He doesn't have those items. He doesn't have those tools in the game state here, where DRX, again, control every single objective. And DNF just have to wait and scale. The Runins is done now, as this is optimistic Ondil.
That's what they call him, optimistic Ondil. But, yeah, just exerting pressure, I guess, fighting over banana brush control. There's no objective here just yet, but there is Otacon, so just trying to fight for bottom side.
Teddy?
Yeah, Teddy gonna try to turn around as his team comes up. Here comes Quantum. And now a stun on Ondil. Looks very much caught out. They have tons of stuns, and it is going to be enough to take down the Nautilus, so nicely done by DNF.
Berserker really is seeing blood in the water. I mean, he's got lethal tempo. You get on top of that Zaya, you push her away. Teddy can't really match that fight, even, you know, with the items he has. Like, the Runins isn't going to get value in a 1v1 that much, but obviously Teddy's just sitting there going, well, I need more support, and Ondil's out of position, and then the whole thing collapses. And Quantum had, like, poor man's flash because he had Ghost and Heal, so he can close the gap. And Berserker is just not pulling any punches. He knows that he can straight up go toe-to-toe with the Zaya in a 1v1 in the mid-prio fight, and he is just not going to give Teddy any quarter, despite the fact that Teddy's 2-0 and won this game. If he can continue to apply that pressure, maybe they can find some angles, because it's still a sub-2,000 gold lead here, and he is still the only gold advantage in any role here for DNF. You can see his damage is below Dudu's, but that should change as this game goes on.
Yeah.
And it's a Chemtech Soul. You know, DNF can let 3 dragons go over, sit back, and maybe it's an Otacon attempt from DRX that goes wrong, that gives them an opportunity. Like, they still are in this game, and it's just going to be hard to play out.
Yeah. Playing smartly, DNF haven't made any big maneuvers at the Otacon. We've seen a lot of our teams do that and fail. And, you know, you got to be very careful, especially when you're getting chipped away at, and they have a lot of engage plus Yunara. It can be very dangerous. Trying to take down Yehu here, like the angle on the Mega Cone, but is it enough damage as he just hops away? He is Aurora after all. But a nice try. Pioshik doesn't quite get his ult off.
I'm not quite able to do so. I don't know if this is the angle Rich is really looking for there, alone. We'll back away. DNF didn't have full vision, so they decide to not interact with that, but it could have been a backfire there for Rich, who has a 300 gold bounty. There's a lot of bounties, actually, just looking at the list here. For the paltry lead, you know, 1.5k, there's almost that much in bounties on the other side. So pretty significant, like, swing of gold could happen if DNF win a team fight. I mean, I think this game looks a lot more one-sided than it could potentially be if there's another Wombo combo, right, with Quantum and Dudu. Quantum's got his flashback. I'm really on the hope train right now, Valdez.
Okay. Gonna be secure here from Pioshik as now the engage comes in, but that's onto the Wukong. That's not the target you want this time, Quantum, as now Pioshik's gonna go in, provides a front line for Berserker, doing a ton of damage here on the left side. That ult, that Feather Storm was totally useless. And the Feathers do not get called back onto anyone. DNF win a fight.
All right, look at that gold lead vanish. Down to 300 now. And I don't think Rich is going to be able to do anything to contest here, even with Ondil's help. They're just going to have to back out, even maybe looking to try to push the mid turret, but Bulldog's one step ahead. Yeo looks for the steal with the weirding, isn't going to be able to get it. And they're going to actually pull to Otacon. This means the mid turret should go down. In fact, it will, but I think this is definitely going to be calling worth here for DNF if they could secure this.
I mean, they're already getting poked down a little bit. They got to be extremely careful about this, even in a 5v3 situation.
I mean, Sponge coming over.
Ult's coming in. Like, look at Piosik's health bar. This call, he's just dead. Yeah, who just kills him? And they don't know how to smite anymore. And guess who's coming on over? Rich trying to do some damage, but he's going to be taken out. Doesn't quite work out. They only get Piosik. This Otacon will go the way of DNF. There's no smite, but it doesn't matter because Sponge is not here either.
Yeah, Ondo didn't have smite. He looked like he was maybe going to go for the Dredgeline steal, but decides not to. This moment here is everything that can go right, and this is like Quantum being like, I deserve this spot. Again, finds a fantastic engage, and even though it's onto the Wukong, this is great communication between Piosik and Berserker. They are able to get over the wall. Berserker uses his empowered dash from his ultimate to chase there, and then boom, Bulldog drops the ult on top of Teddy after he has no escape anymore, and they just delete him. Drops the ult on top of Teddy after he has no escape anymore, and they just delete him. And here this is optimistic playing around, like you said, the shredded resistance is here. Yehu's like, I have so much damage I can take out the jungler, but the rest of DNF was rotating down. They had the man advantage. Teddy and the Wukong are just not here. Like, they cannot get here in time, so Sponge is just trying to run as fast as he can, but it's going to be a big win for DNF, and the comeback is now theirs, and this has been some of the best coordination we've seen from this team all year, and maybe just changing one player in the support can make that big of a difference.
I mean, that shows you really the importance of the support role. I mean, we've seen some really high-level supports in our league. We've been very grateful. I've been very grateful to have so many of them. And Quantum is trying to join the list right now. We have an equalizer here in mid, so they're trying to set something up. But yeah, I mean, they oftentimes call the shots. So we see a lot of engaged supports, and Quantum's playing one of the most important ones that we've seen so many big plays on, even from some of our junglers back in the day. You think about Owner's Rel play. Just going to go for the Baron.
Yeah, this is pretty risky. Bulldog has an idea about this. Quantum has his ult available as well. I don't know about this one, DRX. It's going to have to be a great turn. Sponge no flash, but he's in position to Warrior's Trickster ult.
Oh, they're just going to try to burn it. They're not even turning. Okay, the turn is kind of coming in here. A bit of a go on to Piosik. He's getting low. He flashes out of the pit, and that means there is no hope for this Baron. And a bunch of needles coming out. It looks like Rich is too low. They should be able to take him down, as does Berserker. But DRX got a full Baron out of that play.
Yeah, surprised to see the turn away and just not looking for the smite steal. Piosik does live, but I feel like if you get that, you could probably still win the ensuing fight, or at least get some chase and push DRX away. Ultimately, they get Rich only. And this fight is pretty broken up, right? I think DRX, if they had turned faster, they probably crushed this. But instead, they really want to hold the Baron, and it's the late Aurora ultimate here. And then Piosik is like, not in smite range, going to flash out. Rich goes for the chase there, which ultimately ends up being his demise. And I think DNF realized, okay, we could probably get some cleanup kills here. And then they're like, that outer on the top lane is still up. We're not going to be able to get anything further. See what the Baron gets done here for DRX, though, because they do not have any tempo on the map right now.
Sponge doesn't have his...
Splash is so close!
He doesn't have his W either. He's just dead. That was very, very sad, very silly. And they just get the Baron buff away from the DRX jungler.
I mean...
And a nice kill.
Are we seeing DNF be decisive, Valdez? A little bit?
If they're proactive, it gives the Unara so much room.
Yeah.
If DRX are the ones engaging, sure, the Unara's going to have trouble. But we haven't really seen DRX have a solid 5-man engage as a team, right? So,
I mean, they're going to get the inner turret and top lane with the Baron buff. Yehu just camping this. He had TP, so he can make the call to do this. But it's in trade for Berserker picking up a turret bottom side. Sure, not the same level of turrets and outer, but he's got so much money. And you know, sometimes when you don't win fights early, when you go for the Bork Runins or the Kraken Runins build, you feel pretty bad about where your game state is, but they were able to win fights despite it later on. He has IE now. He is incredibly strong, and he's just picking up more and more gold with these turrets that are left around the map. And he has a massive lead over Teddy. Even he had a smaller one earlier. but he's just really the main character here, and DNF have been playing around him so incredibly well. And even though we think, and I think we're right, that DRX have a great comp in Yunara, they haven't been able to group up and fight properly. The Baron turn was really poor, and we're just not seeing a normal 5v5 out of this team. You know, we haven't since really the mid game.
Yeah. I mean, if they press their buttons on the right targets, still an option. Andal going to go in here, but that is on a Quantum, who is going to smartly disengage. The rest of his team had already just kind of run away.
I mean, this is a Chemtech Dragon here. DNF shouldn't overcommit, but I mean, they have a nice angle to potentially flank.
All right, looking for Andal here. That's a ton of burst damage. They take out the support of DRX, but immediately down goes Quantum as in goes Yehu, kind of going insane on the Aurora, and not necessarily in a good way. He's going to be taken out. Meanwhile, Dudu is going to be pushed away from the fight.
I think he can still escape, though. I don't know about a re-engage here from Teddy. Does have his ult and flash, but the target selection, I mean, who are you really going to go on here? Berserker down his summoners, but he's got his dash back, and they've got an Annie here. This is a really risky situation for DRX. They want the soul badly. I just don't know if it's realistic.
I mean, Dudu has TP, so eventually this just becomes a 4v3. They smartly just wait, and the second the TP comes out, maybe DRX were just kind of posturing to make sure he TPs in, which, fair enough if they are, but yeah, I was worried as well if they were just going to kind of send it, especially into the 6-0-4 Berserker Yunara.
And like, if you're Quantum right now, think about how long you've waited for this moment to potentially finally be starter, and how much of an impact he's had this game, and then the punishes he's had on someone who also he was playing behind on Kwangdong as well. In Andal, he's got to be feeling doubly good about how his game is going, because it's starting to feel like a pretty big gap in terms of the impact here of these supports. Yeah, he's 0-4 and 9. He has an extra death over Andal, but I don't think that the impact of these two supports can really be equated. It's definitely Quantum who's done a lot more heavy lifting in this game and often sacrificing himself in order for those team fights to work out. Berserker has a perfect KDA. You can see them on the player shot every time. It looks like he's like pulling the weight off his shoulders, because he knows that he is so important. He cannot make a mistake. He cannot get caught. He's got a shield bow now for some additional safety. And it starts to feel like DNF have done what they needed to do in this game to get over some of the hurdles and potentially win this one. Sure, there's still a lot of problems in terms of the engage tools, but Berserker has proven that his team, both his positioning is good enough and his team knows exactly how to play around his weaknesses when he's down summoners. And now he's level 16. He's in, you know, big ult. I am liking the position here for DNF quite a lot. I'm just going to get this inner here for free.
Yeah, Pilchik actually pushed through the enemy jungle, put down a control ward, cleared out everything, and kind of said, well, we pushed the Xayah top, so they're probably all topside, so kind of a free push in mid. Just little things like that can get you into a position to, you know, hit an item spike, or at this point, I mean, the spikes aren't really being hit, but like another completed item, another step ahead, you know, maybe an elixir before an important fight. Berserker has so much more gold than everyone else in the game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The most damage.
They've been given all the turrets to him. You know, he has Cole he cashed in earlier, nearly 40 CS lead over his opposition.
All he's got to do, stay safe in a fight and use that damage, and DNF have a legitimate shot at winning this game.
He's even got a BF sword additionally on top of all of this damage. He's soon to have a GA. If he wins this fight, he might not even need to buy one. They might be able to end, and we are 32 minutes into this game. And I don't think there's a scrappy fight where two people walk out on both sides. I think it's going to be a sweep, whoever wins this fight. The Quantum angle
of the engage here. It's on the Bulldog. I mean, that is a decent target, but he gets the Timbers out, and that's not going to be great. They finally do get Bulldog, but look at this front line. Just burning. Teddy goes Teddy! Nearly takes off Berserker's head, but that means that he loses his own, and now Rich is going to, go golden. But I think eventually, yeah, he just goes down. DNF win a very important fight, and we'll look at the Baron.
Yeah, they are pretty low here, so, you know, with the timers of the death respawn timers for DRX, I think an end could have been possible if they had a wave, but they don't. You can see the wave is actually in mid. Yehu pushed that out, so they're just going to get Baron. Can reset full and use that Baron to siege the base. I know what everyone's thinking, right? Situation like this is probably the fight you thought, surely DNF will throw it away again. But I mean, look at the situation here. Berserker is so well positioned, and Quantum is there to set up the engage, but he also gets to, in this case, re-engage. And Teddy looks very similar to play to what we saw Viper do yesterday on the Xayah, trying to execute the Yunara to save the game. There's just too much peel. He's too big to fail. And I don't think DNF are going to lose this game. I just don't see any way. I think this game state and how well they've been playing together I mean, this is the best coordination frankly I think we've seen since like LCK Cup for this roster.
Which was like February.
I don't want to say like I'm jinxing. I just don't think jinxes are going to be real in this one. I think DNF done it, Valdez. Like can confidently say I don't think there's any chance.
I think given the current form of DRX in this game, I would agree. The all-ins onto Bulldog, onto Quantum, onto not Berserker are giving me pause. And DNF are loving it. They're playing it really well. Like, not to take anything away from them. It's just the fact that DRX are also at the same time not really hitting those beats that they need to. Like, even that fight where Ondel kind of just went in and died and just pressed his R on Berserker, like, that was fine in the mid-game. But we're not seeing any more of that so far.
That's when, like, Berserker's like, well, I just can't do enough damage, right? I don't have the items yet. I'm on 1.5. I got a Zeal, man. Now he's, like, full build.
Yeah.
GA's at the ready.
And his teammates also do a lot of damage, too. So now it's, like, the conundrum of, well, if we int for Berserker, maybe we just died everybody else, and Berserker has GA. So now you've really put yourself behind the 8-ball.
Yeah. Like, this comp shouldn't be allowed to get to this point. And DRX with a few fumbles. And, I mean, now this is just going to be straight up free Dragon here. Again, it's a lot of healing and shielding power that might not necessarily matter in this game. Man, he's got a shield. There's some...
Rel?
Yeah.
Yeah?
He's got a shield bow, Berserker.
Yeah, okay.
But, yeah, I mean, the soul would have been fantastic for Wukong Gwen. So they just look like they're not ever going to get it.
Vi and Rumble both have a little shield?
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, I'm looking at the soul now. I'm like, okay, extra resistance is extra damage.
Yeah, no, for real. I mean, the fact that they're one away, and if they get that is going to be quite big for their chances in this game. All right, looking for something. We got the big zoom in from Jonah Strong. He could feel it as they're trying to go for the front line. Pretty much anyone, and they're just going to press their buttons on a sponge. And the follow-up from Quantum is huge. And the equalizer as well on top of it. DNF are too big to fail. And it is actually coming true. They will win game number 1 as Yehu is also taken down. And DNF are crushing it. The fans are already ready to cry. It's just game 1.
Did not finish today. Did not fail. 909 Berserker. He is the man to carry this one, but his team set him up in every scenario, and it's a crushing victory here. DRX had a nice lead, but it all fell apart. DNF, another win on the board for Unara. And man, that last fight, you could just see why don't we just engage on their engaged champions? Because if we just lock anybody down, Berserker will press R and delete them.